The grand final is here, ladies and gentlemen, and Fnatic is playing versus Virtus Pro. And as you can see, Fnatic is actually not wasting any time. Bam, Illidan is already gone. So it should be a pretty cool final, and this is also best of 3 series that we have now. The starting map is Infernal Shrines, which is always a pretty cool map because, well, we have a couple of heroes that shine here in particular, a few different approaches. Karrigans are being played on this map. We've seen like Diablo Karrigan styles and whatnot, and there can be a couple of cool plays. I think in a few of the games you even see a Chromia on this map appear every now and then. So Fnatic already doing a pretty solid job earlier on against the Evil Murkies. Virtus Pro, on the other hand, they were able to win against Casual Logic Gaming in the semifinal and find themselves now facing, of course, a very tough opponent here. Their ban is a Tacita right now, which leaves Fnatic with a couple of options. They have to think about that Sonya prioritization, the Thrall, Kalthas. There's actually quite a lot of heroes that can give you a lot of value on Infernal Shrines in particular. Sonya would be a very good approach. Kalthas, of course, has also a lot of AoE that he can bring to the table when we're talking about the objective on the map at is. But right now, we are having with Sonya a hero that can go very deep, has the Whirlwind to get some AoE. Shattered Ground as a level 4 talent provides it with a little bit more area damage as well, so that he can really get those minion stacks going. Those are a few of the things that she brings to the table, and she's very powerful just in general. So I wouldn't really be surprised if Fnatic confirms the pick, and yes, they do. So we have that Sonya play for now. Virtus Pro, now things I would say are starting to become a bit interesting to see how they are starting up here. I would like Kalthas, first of all. Very powerful European scene, really likes him, they prefer him. Kalthas brings so much here, not only with the Phoenix, but the Flame Strike, the bombs. Like, it's not only the damage in the team fights, but also that you can get so much control over the points as is. So that really helps with that. Kalthas now, of course, now they need a little bit more than that. Like, one of the things that I really like is that Li Ming, for example, is not prioritized as highly anymore on the map as she was before. Since she is very strong still in team fights, but she doesn't really get the value against the objective on the map like a lot of other heroes do, especially Kalthas, for example. But there was still a time where a lot of teams prioritized Li Ming even higher than a Kalthas, and I think it was a huge mistake on this map. For now, Rhaegar is being picked, which is actually interesting that Virtus Pro commits to a Rhaegar pick this early already in the draft. I could have seen them try to head maybe even into an early on Thrall here, because Fnatic is likely to ban out Thrall, so that they don't have to face another Bruiser. For Fnatic, on the other hand, now they can think a little bit about how they want to play in terms of supports. If they want to add a support already, a damage dealer from the distance is going to be a very likely pick for them too. And when we're talking about that, in this case, it could still be a Li Ming here. A bit of AoE damage is something that they definitely have to add at some point. Could, for example, also add a Lunara, depending on how they plan on shaping up the rest of the setup. A Grey main would work here as well. If they want to, you can actually poke from distance a little bit and then really commit to the kills. But there's a lot. I would say that in this case, we would even see like one of the frontliners. Zul not really catering to the shrine itself just yet. Zul mostly being used to just like being on the opposite side of the map and trying to just get the wave clear against the opponent. So it's already a bit of a setup where Fnatic is guaranteeing themselves that they have decent lane push, that they have also a bit of a lockdown, and with the potential Poison Nova, Skeleton Mages is usually a pretty sweet control spell as well when you're fighting in the late game than over Shrines in a 5 versus 5 scenario. So Zul definitely working here, and they go for a frontliner, but they seem to go for Breeze's ETC again, which I kind of find interesting here already, since it leaves a lot of heroes open and can still interrupt him completely. And what we normally see on Infernal Shrines is oftentimes also still either the Diablo that was showcased for a second, since he controls the shrine itself very nicely and has also decent damage output. Or we could have even seen something along the lines of a Johanna, maybe a Muradin. So there's definitely a few options. But an early Karazhan pick here for them, which is actually very interesting to see. That kind of lets me to believe that we might even see something along the lines of a Stitches here if they try to rely onto that. Stitches hooks with Karazhan 7-sided strikes can be very powerful. Karazhan himself, of course, by no means a bad hero, but it feels a bit like Fnatic was afraid that he was banned out. Don't really think that they were too, like, they didn't really want to go into an Uthaya apparently, even though for Sonya it's of course quite nice to have that Divine Shield when you try and go deep and start to take that. We're having Li Ming now also taken away from the game as a ban if Virtus Pro confirms that. If they actually do, there's still a couple of ranged heroes, of course, that Fnatic could utilize. We've been talking about the Grey main with a finisher in Worgen form, but what I could also see here, as mentioned before, depending on the rest of the front line, is also that Lunara. There's not too many slows just yet where she can really synergize with it, but overall Lunara is just a pretty amazing hero. And if they want to go into Stitches, for example, with the setup that they're running here with Zul and Sonya, they could even decide to go into the slows and Stitches with a Slam, and that would allow Lunara to really capitalize with the unfair advantages of the level 13 talent. But there's, of course, a few things that they can still do. We have seen on this map also a few Sylvanas plays. Fnatic, not really the team that is mostly known for it, but it's still an option. Virtus Pro then again with an Anubarak here, and the False Stat, which of course has always been an opportunity for both of the teams for the extra range damage. And for Virtus Pro, it makes sense to picking up here right now. It's one of the heroes that really synergizes quite well with them, and also it allows them, of course, safety and a safe retreat thanks to the Mighty Gust and starting to push the opponent back. So nice damage here on their part, but I would say that with the setup that they're running, they definitely need another hero at the front line as well. And that could even be an Arthas, which is another option for Fnatic as well. Arthas is actually a hero that on Infernal Shrines has seen a little bit more play, since he also gives you value with his Frozen Tempest on the shrine itself for additional damage against the minions. He has not really the mobility of a lot of other heroes, but if you really drive deep into your opponent, he is a huge force to reckon with. Not really the best hero to escape when the fight turns south, but still very, very powerful, and oftentimes also played with a Nubarak. It's a lot of control that you have with both heroes together. Fnatic, as expected, it is that Stitches. I've been talking about it earlier. They have the opportunity to go into Charism, 7-sided strike. They have that slow. I would like Lunara with this, to be quite frank. I've been mentioning it. I think she would be a very good addition here. But of course, there are other options when it comes to range damage. Grainy with a melee finish is an option that they have, but that would make them very melee heavy, even with Grainy having the opportunity to dish out the damage from the backline. I would really like that Lunara here. She has a couple of weaknesses, no question about it, but I really think they could capitalize on her play. They run out of time pool and go into a Vala instead. Not a bad choice either. I think personally I would have preferred a Lunara here, but Vala is a hero that gives you a lot what you need on the map. If you go into the multi-shot hybrid build, you get good single target damage, but you also have more AoE to clear the shrines and take the minions. So that's another thing that they can really utilize. For Virtus Pro, as pointed out, I would like to have another frontliner. I really believe that in their case, they could go into maybe a Muradin, maybe an Arthas. Johanna, it would even make sense so that she can use the Condemn and Kalthus can capitalize on it with the AoE damage that he has. So there's a couple of things that they could definitely do with this. It's basically a preference pick at this point for them. Like any kind of frontliner would really work, and they seem to go for Muradin. I could have even seen something along the lines of, let's say, Ethereal here, for example, with a Nubarak. Wouldn't be quite as sustainable as what they're using right now, but depending on the kind of playstyle that you have and how you want to play it, you could do it. Don't necessarily think that there's a need for it, considering Fnatic's lineup. But yeah, there's always the chance to play something like this. Muradin is being used, and I don't mind that. He can escape after being hooked. Falstad can do the same, and a Nubarak as well. So that's actually like a pretty sweet setup for them. I kind of like what I'm seeing. I really like it. Fnatic, they have to show their skills right now, of course, with that setup that they're using. Boys, we're in the final. It's a best of 3. So let's not waste any more time and go straight in for game number 1 on Infernal Shrines. Game number 1 in the final, and guys, we had a bit of a change, as you can already see with the setup here. I've been talking about Lunara as a possible last pick for Fnatic, and they went into Vala instead, but during the chat they said that they would like to switch Vala over to Lunara if Virtus Pro would be okay with that. Virtus Pro agreed, and Fnatic just said we were running out of time. We didn't find Lunara in the hero lineup, so we went for Vala instead just to be on the safe side. Virtus Pro said no problem whatsoever, go for her, that's totally fine. So we have Lunara, as I already highlighted. She is a great addition to the setup that they're running with Breeze on Stitches, Smexy on Charism, Wooby on Zul, Quacknix on Sonya, and Shrimpy now on Lunara herself. To the right side, Virtus Pro with Anilendi on Kalthus. We have Hydra on Muradin, Sefka on Falstad, Unstable on Rega, and Power of Dreams is playing an Nubarak. Oh, nice hook already by Breeze. Not of any consequence just yet, but still like a good start into the game for him. 100% hook ratio right there. We have, by the way, 2 times already Dampen Magic taken, an absolutely fantastic talent, as a lot of players have already been talking about. We have it on the Nubarak and on Stitches as the starting talent. And the cool thing for Virtus Pro is that they have actually a lot of heroes that they can escape from a Stitches hook, and that's going to be great for them. One of the things that's going to be very interesting for us later on in the game is to see what exactly Smexy chooses as his level 10 ability. If it's going to be the 7-sided strike so that they can attempt to hook a target and just blow it to pieces with the ult, or if they just simply go into the Palm instead. Another thing that we also have to watch out for a little bit is level 13 talent, I suppose, on the side of Lunara. I would be kind of surprised, to be quite honest with you, if she doesn't go for the unfair advantage, considering that Stitches is being played here and Putrid Bile should be the heroic ability, so the unfair advantage would really capitalize on the slow process there. On level 1, we're having the natural perspective, bit of extra vision, never really hurts, so yeah, why not? And besides that, Falstad with Seasoned Marksman, and pretty much standard talents for the rest of the teams. The setup at the top lane with Muradin going up against Sonya, and down here Breeze already in position, trying to just like build that front line. But I like the setup that we have for the first map here. Fnatic definitely with a very good approach so far, but I also like what we have for the opponent. There's a lot of CC that can be chained for Virtus Pro. And oh, they're going for Quacknik. Sevkash with a very nice fly in here. I'm liking it. Trying to go for Sonya. They're gonna secure that kill. Or are they? Hydra moves in. Breeze comes in too. Unbelievable. Quacknik survives and they get the kill against Muradin. The rotation was strong enough, very well played, and that gives them already a bit of an advantage going into the first shrine that spawns in the middle of the map. So it's actually a bit annoying for Zul that the shrine spawns here, because it makes his life... He doesn't get as much value out of it. If there's a shrine at one of the like outer lanes, top or bottom, then he can always just like rotate between two lanes and get easy experience. He can do a very similar thing right now, but yeah, he doesn't have access to the wave up at the top, which is a bit annoying for him. Quacknik's already in trouble, taken down. Virtus Pro kind of coming back with a vengeance here. Bit of a pressure play against Andilendi, level 4 talent now for both of these teams, which means that we're having the Locust Needles taken for Nuborak that gets hooked. Power of Dream has to actually move away. Great talent for Nuborak on this map, by the way, catering really to the needs that you have when you're trying to go for the objective. And both of the teams are doing their best now to secure the first Punisher. Power of Dream already in a bit of trouble, but so is Shrimpy. Shrimpy down. Power of Dream gets healed. Nice heals from Rhaegar, and they're starting to just simply go in once again. 5 versus 4 situation in favor of Virtus Pro now. And they're also starting to claim the lead in minions to get that first Punisher. Zul has been trying to clear the lanes a little bit, especially the bot lane, but the problem for him is that he couldn't really do too much there. So it's not really a massive experience lead that they can call their own. This wave could even be soaked if Falstad makes his way to the bottom in time. He's maybe going to lose a few of the stacks, but overall he's looking still very, very solid here. At the same time, we already have, yeah, this is actually going to looking really cool. We're having a pretty big push in the mid lane where at least one of the towers is going to fall. A nice bait by Fnatic to just make him jump the wall, which is pretty standard right now. But this is going to become a very cool setup for Virtus Pro if they're able to just like keep that pressure going, because the second tower is about to fall as well. They get a bit of a structural advantage right now. They have a really nice setup also heading into level 7. And if they can claim a few of the structures, it just creates an opportunity for them to take down the well of the opponent. A lot of the positioning around the shrines is really just... You're on an advantage if you can snipe your opponents well. And once that you start taking the walls down, that's exactly what you aim for. And if you have another shrine spawning in the same lane then, and your opponent doesn't have a well available anymore, then you can just always get a bit of an advantage going into a fight as is. Level 7 talents are for now also, of course, kind of important. We have a Nuborak here with a chitinous plating going straight into the cooldown reduction, which is also going to be a pretty important part, especially once the level 13 is reached, where we usually are going to see the extra damage with the AoE. That being said, also the last bite on Stitches, which is one of the talents that you actually get a lot on this map here in particular. Cooldown reduction is always really awesome, and last bite can of course also be applied to the minions on the map, which is giving you a huge lead actually and is making the hero so much more survivable. On level 7 for Lunara, of course, what are we seeing here? I mean, what else could it be? Nature's Culling, one of the greatest talents actually when you're trying to snipe a couple of structures and are also working on mercenary camps or anything like that. So that's another talent that is going to be really important for Shrimpy. And Lunara in particular is just an absolute beast on any map. And once that we're going into level 10, once that Stitches is heading the Putrid Bile, the unfair advantage comes into play, the damage output on Lunara is getting totally crazy. The good thing for Virtus Pro is that they have a hero that can kind of deal with it. Rhaegar with that chain heal can do a whole lot to just negate some of the damage output that Lunara has. It's much more tricky if you have an Uther. Like an Uther on the opponent's team and you are running a Lunara is like the dream, since you will never be able to keep up with the healing against all the poke damage that you are able to dish out there. Look at the setup that we're having for now, for example. Again, Zul at the bot lane, just trying to push, and Virtus Pro has to react to that, so they still have Falstad in the middle, clearing waves as well, turning the top fight into a 4 versus 4. Smexy stunned out, but should always be able to dash away. He doesn't even have to. Camps are being cleared, but we already had that camp coming into play for Fnatic a bit earlier, so the timing is just a tiny bit better for Virtus Pro, but with the Shrine spawning up at the top, he can still be eliminated. 18 versus 6 minion stacks, both of the teams slowly heading into level 10, but Wubi made his way to the top lane now with the Zul and is trying to allow his team to get this Punisher. Falset is working on level 10 still. If Sevkaji gets level 10 for his team and flies top, then they're in a great spot here. But right now, it's still getting a slight bit tricky for them because that race is full on. But it's now an even split in minions, more or less. Here's the level 10 already, but Fnatic is so close to their own rogue ability that they should be able to grab it once that they eliminate the wave here. But here comes Falset with a Mighty Gust. There's the level 10 finally, but it's too late already. Thornwood Mines have been chosen. Whoopi comes in with a poison over Smexy is low. He went into the palm, is not using his yet, is waiting for an opportunity to save one of the heroes here. Breeze had to retreat. He hooks, gets Sefka. No kill though. Ancestral from Unstable comes through. But this is looking like a very solid situation now for Virtus Pro as they are aiming for Punisher number 2. And they get a magnificent lead here already in minions and will claim the second Punisher. Fnatic had to retreat, and with a kill against Lunara, they just could not turn it around there. Lunara, of course, a massive damage dealer, but she is pretty much on the weak side, and that's one of her biggest problems. Positioning with a hero is absolutely everything, and this is one of the things that we should actually be seeing during the next few fights as well. Again, the Punisher baited. Lunara with the unfair advantage, doing some solid work. By the way, a very tricky Punisher to deal with at this point, considering that it's an arcane Punisher, and that guy is already doing solid work here, especially with the Phoenix now also being in play. The wall is gone. Still an early game Punisher, so it's not as powerful as the later game versions, but he's doing enough. And in the meantime, Whoopi was just basically going from lane to lane, making sure that he gets everything done here, pushes the lanes, and Sevkaji was trying to fly in and get a bit of damage done. And actually, he's not the only one. There's Andilendi, and immediately the gravity lapse, but Breeze is already there. Good hook against Kelthas, but no consequence. Zul instead is falling. That was actually a very, very nice play on the side of Virtus Pro here. So yeah, job well done. And right now, we are seeing still up at the top lane, Power of Dreams starting to go up against Quacknik, since both of them are trying to soak experience again. So overall, a pretty fast-paced game. I'm actually liking it. We had like 2 Punishers on the side of Virtus Pro already. We had right now a bit of a lead when it comes to experience, but especially thanks to heroes like Zul, they are able to maintain a lot of the XP. I mean, EXP totals, you can actually see it right now. Zul is pretty much doing his job, pushing the lanes as much as he can, always like rotating between 2 or 3, getting the wave clear in. He's at 7,000 XP total. Falstad has been trying to do the same job as well. He's a little bit lower than that, but he's still doing solid work here when it comes to it. When it comes to overall damage, and especially Nulara, of course, is starting to get that potent damage in for Team Fnatic, but Kelthas is already a little bit ahead of her. So is Falstad, by the way. And Falstad at this point is still working on the stacking process. And with that, we're having him at 20 extra damage right now. Andilendi trying to go for Quacknix here with the rest of the team. Quacknix already escaped earlier once, and already we're seeing Smexy moving up to the top on his Charism, and he is going to be there in time to use a palm if need be, which wasn't really the case just now. But at this point, we're having again another Punisher about to be fought over, and both of the teams are now on level 13, which brings us still into the Pyromaniac for Kelthas. We're also seeing now Giant Killer for Falstad, who of course went into level 4 Leech, the Life Leech on it with the Hammer Gains and the Secret Weapon. Whereas Zul with the Decrepify, with the Death's Reach is already working towards a bit more of a scythe play. And now the unfair advantage for Lunara that we've been talking about earlier. Stitches already with the slow, and this is where Schwimpy is really going to try and capitalize on the slows here itself, getting the unfair advantage in. Needs to be very careful that he is not too exposed though, since Power of Dream is always going to wait for an opportunity to dive deep and push Lunara back or take her down with a good CC chain. For now though, it's Quacknix who's in trouble. He needs to be careful, is able to get out of there. They have the lead in minions, and a nice hook against the Nubarak, but of course he can simply burrow, charge away. That's exactly what he does. Schwimpy is once again flying in here. Hopping in here. There is that Phoenix on the other hand. They tried to lock down Hydra. He doesn't use the jump, didn't have the cooldown for his Dwarf Toss apparently. Nice damage output against him, but both of the teams have the exact same amount of stacks. They're diving in for Smexy. Smexy has another dash, moves away, gets shielded. Nice Poison Nova from Whoopi on Azul, but we still see Virtus Pro on their point, making sure that they are getting the control over the Shrine. Lockdown and the palm. Great play here, but Sonya might die after all, and she does. The Punisher also claimed now by Virtus Pro. They get the kill against Lunara. 6 kills against 1 against Fnatic right now. They're actually playing a very solid game here. Virtus Pro with the 3rd Punisher in a row now. And not only that, but they secure a lead in experience, and that is only going to increase now that they have the Punisher barreling through the mid lane. A good bait there, but even Zul is now dying at the top lane. Zul was taken out as well. Power of Dream is starting to push in. He has still a couple of beetles there, and he doesn't have the mana pool to spam out too many of his abilities, but he will create a few beetles, enough to actually go straight for that fort. In the meantime, we have the mid fort eliminated as well. Punisher is already going straight for the wall, and up at the top, another fort taken down. 1.5 levels. That's the lead that we're currently talking about when we're looking at the team Virtus Pro. They are looking very powerful here. Fnatic, on the other hand, is really starting to struggle a bit. The CC, the dive potential, the stuns, everything that we're seeing on the side of Virtus Pro is really working well together, whereas Shrimpy is struggling to really get the kills in. I mean, for good reason. Lunara is known to be a hero that has incredible damage output, but she is a very bad finisher. And it's a huge problem right now for Fnatic to actually finish some of these targets off, since they have a problem running Quacknix that deep into the opponent's backline. So they have a very melee-heavy setup, and every single time they're trying to push into deep, there's either going to be a CC chain against the hero, there's just simply going to be Kelthas with a couple of living bombs, and another kill. Safeguard might even survive. He will survive. He's just going away there. A 3 versus 1 situation at the top with a kill against Shrimpy's Lunara, and now level 16 talents taken as well for Virtus Pro. That allows them to go into the Sun King's Fury immediately. We're seeing them with Stone Form, the Hunger of the Wolf, and with the percentage damage against Stitches. That's actually going to be a pretty interesting touch right now. Stitches and Sonya are going to be set under a lot more pressure with this. Of course, you give up on a few other talents, but in this case, going for like Colossal Totem into Earthquest Totem is not possible anyways, since the level 1 talent is Wolf Run here, which is very common these days. Safeguard, by the way, completed also the Season Marksman, Mana Addict one. Kelthas got completed. Safeguard is not that far just yet. He needs to be a little bit, needs to wait a little bit longer. That would be something. 30 minutes in and already you have your Season Marksman. That would be pretty awesome. But yeah, he's at 29 extra damage right now, so another 11, and then he's going to be on the spot. But looking at it, the problem really is just like these team fights. It's 16 versus 16 right now, so Fnatic can at least fight for the next Punisher, and that's pretty lucky for them. If that hits half a minute later, then they are in a situation where they are most likely going to lose another Punisher per default. But for now, they have the Fishing Hook, they have Circle of Life. These 2 talents alone should already make a huge difference. Flowing Wounds are now being taken, and we have with Nerves of Steel also another great talent for them. The Starwood Spear for the attack range should help Shrimpy to stay maybe a little bit farther back during some of these fights. But this Punisher is definitely going to be very important, because now keeps are exposed. But we have that situation that I've been mentioning earlier. The well in the mid lane, or in the bot lane in this case, is still up on the side of Virtus Pro. They can just simply retreat, go for well, and then go straight back into the fight. And that's something that they will use if they have to. Now they're still running Hydra up at the front line. He has to go for Stone Form. Didn't pop Avatar yet. Usually you do it together. But right now, Hydra not willing to go for Avatar just yet. They're pushing them back again. Both of the teams on the same amount of stacks as we speak, but they're attempting to use that CC chain again. A hook against the minions. Breeze is not able to get close enough to Anilandia or Sefka to really threaten them here. Already Puric Bile being used. Immediately the Mighty Gust on the side of Falstad. Breeze about to fall. Gets palmed and saved. Smexy with great timings here on his palms in this game. Ancestral healing on the Nubarak, but this is another Punisher now claimed. Punisher after Punisher is taken by Virtus Pro. They have a frozen Punisher that can move down the bot lane right now. It will move towards the keep, and it is really starting to become a tricky spot for Fnatic. Fnatic, they need to make something happen, and they already lost a lot of structures also up at the top where a camp was pushing in the entire time. Virtus Pro has done a great job with the timing here on the Bruiser camp. They time it perfectly with the Shrine to make sure that they are getting a few of the structures, and in the meantime it also forces Zul, of course, up to the top, so he can't help with the defense just yet. The wall has been breached. Punisher might not be able to succeed in going straight for keep here, but at least they take a few of the towers down, and the keep is actually falling incredibly fast. So even if the Punisher is baited into the middle, they will lose the keep at the bot lane. Punisher is going to fall, but they're trying to turn it around with an attack against Nubarak. Here comes the Poison Nova. Now the Dwarf is hopping away as we speak, but the hook, and he's in cooldown. That should be the end of Hydra. Down he goes. Great kill here. and that might become a bit of a turnaround if Fnatic can get a couple of additional kills in. Now in the chase, that would be exactly what they need. If Breeze, for example, lands another good hook, that might be it. There's the hook, and the lockdown against Power of Dream, who's dying on an Uberak. So double kill for Fnatic. That secures a bit of extra experience for them. The keep, by the way, has not fallen. The keep has not fallen. I mean, this thing has no hit points whatsoever. But Fnatic, or at least Virtus Pro, did not actually take it down. Sevkaja is starting to fly in right now. He wants to get the kill against the keep. He's not wasting his fly ability just yet. But we have Zul moving in. Zul wants to... the keep is going to fall either way. The question is Falstad going to fall? Falstad can actually like move away right now. Flies away. No problem with that. Flies straight into the middle and is able to escape. So, alright. They sniped the keep. That was the important part. Falstad didn't fly. It was a bit of a risky move, but still, it worked for them. Hook against Unstable, though. Mighty Gust used. Phoenix as well. Retreat covered, and they are good to go. So, everything considered, that last snipe against the keep was actually alright. They lost 2 heroes in the attempt, but I think it's worth it. Now it's 19 versus 19.5. The 2 kills might have not been like too perfect against them, or the 2 deaths, but still, this is not too shabby. We have now 41,000 damage on Falstad himself, by the way. And, yeah, besides that, 51,000 for Lunara. But the 4 deaths that we have on Lunara, that's a problem. That's really a big problem right now for them. Lunara is just like dying too often. She's too exposed. Shrimpy is playing her maybe a bit too aggressive here. And of course, against the setup that we see for Virtus Pro, it's not really easy to stay alive with her, since Virtus Pro is going to use every opportunity that they have to jump onto Lunara in these cases. Here comes the Epic Mount, trying to go in for Shrimpy, and my god, they get the kill again. Unfortunately for them, Smexy just not in the area. 50-second death time cooldown still, and the next shrine is active up to the top. So now we have not only a Storm Shield, we have a double Hardened Shield, we have the Epic Mount and Falster and Kel'Thas. I guess most likely, it could go for Rebirth, to be honest with you. I mean, considering that we are fighting on shrines, Rebirth might be a good option. Master of Flames is another very good opportunity for Falstad right now. One way or another, it's very unlikely that they're going to miss out on the Punisher, since Lunara is still dead, and without Lunara, there's just no damage output. 20 versus 20. Seeing Mortal Wounds here doesn't really surprise, considering the setup that they're running. And let's keep in mind that if actually Rhaegar is not able to get his heal in properly, that Lunara gains even more value. But those constant deaths on Lunara are a huge problem right now. Fnatic has a pretty big issue in this case. Lunara going for the Galloping Gate, and it feels it's a bit of a concession of Shrimpy to just say, hey, I need more safety. I can't actually go for anything else. I need to make sure that I can get out of these situations, because I'm dying way too often right now, and it's not helping my team at all. There's an Arcane Punisher now coming into play, and I mean, this is going to be another keep. At least it has to be. Think about it. The wall is gone, with the exception of one tower that's already at 50% HP, so there's very little to do about that. They're starting to go in once again. We're having everybody else moving straight in with a Punisher. Falstad is starting to move into. They're trying to go for a kill against Breeze. Moves away. No palm used. Saves the palm for now. Good job on that. A lot of damage actually put out there. And still no poison over on Zul, by the way. He still has that available and could use it. But that keep is going to fall. The only question is, can they push it for core? Yes or no? Great hook against Unrelated. Amazing. That's exactly what they needed. But the Mighty Gust and the Ancestral save Kel'Thas. And with the keep gone, they can just simply move away, which is what they're doing right now. So Virtus Pro making the right choice here. They retreat a bit. They're trying to snipe a camp on the other hand. Breeze is there. Hook is not hitting anybody. The camp is going to be stolen away. But it's now 2 of the keeps that are already gone. It's 20 versus 20 though when it comes to like the fights. And that is one of those things where we could see maybe a bit of a comeback. Ignore Pain being used. That level 20 talent on Zul, as I already highlighted, is going to be important. But let's not forget that especially Falstad is going to have a huge increase in his damage output once that he starts hitting also the 40 stacks on his season marksman. That extra attack speed that you gain because of it is going to be a huge asset to him during these fights. And once that he starts using that against a hero like Stitches, for example, with the addition to Giant Killer, of course, which does percentile damage as well, you can really just start to snipe Stitches absolutely brutally. I mean, you put so much damage in, that is going to be something. Master of Flames, by the way, has now been taken on Kel'Thas' side. So Kel'Thas still main damage dealer for the red team, for Virtus Pro, with 45,000. But we are seeing now on the opponent 62k already on Lunara. It's all these deaths on the other hand. And Virtus Pro is actually playing a very aggressive game against Lunara, as you might have already realized. I mean, earlier on, Fawcett even flying in deep to get that snipe against Lunara, risking a lot with it. And it paid off then in the end, but it was definitely still a bit of a risky play there. If there's a hero flanking in, then Fawcett might fall too. But in this case, they didn't really care. They were just said, okay, snipe Lunara. Once she's gone, they don't have the damage output that they need to contest us, especially with Khaldor, of course, being so effective with his living bombs against the melee setup. And if you look at what Fnatic is running, they are very melee heavy. And Khaldor thrives, of course, against comps like this. Nice block on the hook by Unstable. Not quite sure if that was intentional, but it looked like it might have been. Very solid move on his part. Once again, teams are starting to move in right over here, trying to go for a spot where they can maybe get an early snipe once so that the shrine is going to be fought over, then the fight is going to be a little bit easier for them. But this is one of the, like, let's first face it, if Virtus Pro wins the Punisher, they more or less win the game. At least they should be able to push through core. And now Season Marksman has been completed, and this is really all about Breeze and him landing a hook. And with all the minions there, it's gonna be a little bit unlikely. But they secure quite a few minions already. The problem is Quacknix is in trouble. An early palm would be a bit of a waste, so if possible, they would like to help that. And there's the hook! But Hydra jumps away, gets healed, the Storm Shields are out. Good job so far by Fnatic to force them, but can they capitalize on it with a kill? They're trying to. Shrimpy's keeping himself very far in the back this time, for good reason. He wants to be super safe here. He knows that if he dies, it's more or less over. But look at that damage output here. Locust Swarm has been triggered on an Uberak already. We have 24 versus 17 minions. Here comes the Poison Nova, hitting Power of Dream. Everybody is incredibly low, and Unstable is trying to do what he can, but Zul with the level 20 is making sure that the heals are not going to be as powerful as they normally are. Big fight now for the Punisher. Quacknix goes deep, and he has to hook an Ancestral at the same time on Andy Lendy. Great move by Rega. Unstable with point on play. We're having a big dive by Power of Dream on his Anubara, going for a kill. Breeze rushes away. Sefkash is low. Here's the palm. Quacknix, it's triggered in the last moment. He is still surviving, but there's the Punisher, and this time it's actually Fnatic who finally claimed one. Fnatic with the first Punisher for the team in the game. What a fight. Not a single kill in this entire fight, but what a battle. All the heroics coming into play, some of them nearly twice, and so much damage output by both of the teams. Pretty sick saves. I mean, the hook and immediately the Ancestral healing as Rega realized that he won't be able to do anything else about it. Cleanse was already out, so he does the only thing that he can do, and he drops that Ancestral, and it saves Khaldor. He gets away. Anubarak was saved several times by Rega too, but that level 20 on Zul in particular is really showing right now. It makes Rega's life so much harder. He just doesn't have the opportunity anymore to heal everything with his own skills. He has also the tidal waves. Of course, he's just like using those chain waves one after another, but with a mortal wound as a level 20 talent is just not as effective as it was before, at least for a short period of time. So that's what Fnatic has been using here the entire time. It was a pretty sick battle, and it is a keep that has fallen. So at least now we're having still 2 keeps ready for Virtus Pro. We have only 1 keep in the mid lane for Fnatic, but Fnatic is definitely putting in some fighting spirit at this point. And they are looking strong doing it. So Lunara this time on 91,000 damage. Shrimpy playing a way more passive game in the last battle, and it really helped them. With him not constantly under pressure and just like staying a bit farther back until he had an opportunity to go in and poke, they were able to dish out the damage and really make Virtus Pro bleed. 64,000 damage on the other hand for Khaldor still showcase that Khaldor is doing amazing work here, and especially Fawcett is closing the gap in damage, because his damage output now that Season Marksman is completed is just absolutely crazy as well. So he is really capitalizing on all of that, and especially Breeze he has realized that early on. That hook against Rega, but he is able to get away thanks to the level 1 talent, but a great move here either way. Breeze with a couple of very sweet hooks so far. And hooks are actually one of the things that they have to really try and bank their hopes on right now. If they get an early kill against any of the heroes that we are seeing for Virtus Pro, then they might be able to turn that around. Especially Andy Lendy here. I mean, that guy just doesn't die, right? Khaldor in this game so far has done a pretty exceptional job with a high damage output. The same for Sefkash as well. And both of them never really died. I mean, like, we have 0 deaths on both of them, and they are the damage dealers. They are the heroes that Stitches really wants to grab. If he gets a good hook against any one of them and they're able to just snipe them to pieces with Lunara and also with Sonya, which have enough damage output at close distance to make that happen, then that would be just like the perfect play. Schwimpy at the bot lane is trying to go for the defense, and ooh, that might be a bit of an issue. But he is starting to hop up to the top. We're still having on the bot lane both the teams without a keep. The problem is that in the middle of the map there's another camp starting to push in, and they have to go for the Punisher. They can't really do anything about it. Schwimpy is at least putting a bit of pressure onto them, but that's all that he can do. The two Siege Giants camps, the Shaman camps, they meet up at the top, but we have the teams going for it. There was a bit of an attempt by Sefkaja actually to go for Schwimpy. Goes away with Epic Mount here, flies away, but that was a very nice idea by Sefkaja. I like it a lot, and Schwimpy as a result is on half HP, needs to be super careful right now. Gets healed by Smexy. Hook against Rhaegar once again, but they don't have that stun. They have no follow-up stun. They can only try and capitalize on the Bone Prison, which is just not instantaneous, and that's what they need here. Phoenix giving a bit of value against the minions. Here comes that Poison Nova. Everybody is so low. Quacknix with a shield that he still has, and another hook. Breeze is hitting these hooks the entire time, and finally Rhaegar is down. Fnatic takes down the healer. This is the chance that they've been waiting for. Now it's time for Lunara to shine once again. Poke damage all the way, baby. And they already abandoned the shrine. They know that they can't win this anymore. And Nuborak gets hooked and immediately Burrow charges away. Breaks the Bone Prison as a result now too. Gets shielded with... Oh my god, like, it's getting crazy here. Power of Dream is just barely getting away out of this one. Punisher, of course, is going to end up in the hands of Fnatic, and they are really starting a comeback here. Guys, this game, 27 minutes in! Hydra doesn't have the cooldown ready for the Dwarf Toss and is taken down now too. Fnatic, they were just slammed into the ground all game long, and now they're starting to make a comeback fight after comeback fight. What a play here once again. Look at the damage output that we're seeing. Lunara at 113,000, Kelthas at 74k, and they are pushing straight for keep. Straight for keep, and maybe core 40 seconds on Muradin. Virtus Pro, they looked like they would dominate the game. They had such a huge lead in kills. They still do. 9 against 5, but this creep is down, and the Punisher walks towards the middle. They go for a Nubarak. They go the hook again. Breeze, I mean, I have no idea what he did with this hook. There's a magnet attached there somewhere. He gets the hook against Kelthas, and this time they finally have the damage output to take him down. Sefkaja has no Mighty Gust anymore. They go for the keep, and this is gonna be the first game ending in favor of Fnatic. With a sick comeback on map number 1, they secure the lead in the best of 3 here at the final of the GO4Heroes tournament. Great play, and GG. Okay, everybody, we have game number 2 about to start, and it is Cursed Hollow this time. Fnatic here at the GO4Heroes tournament at the final already has the lead with the 1-0. Pretty cool comeback, actually, on Infernal Shrines. Virtus Pro this time with the first ban and first pick, so we might actually see them try to go into an Illidan composition. I still think that the Lord of 10,000 Years is going to be banned out eventually by one of the two teams. But VP had a pretty good start into the last game. For them, it was really the late game where they struggled a little bit. The setup for Fnatic was very dependent on Lunara, and once that she didn't die anymore during these fights, you could really tell that they were able to put a lot of pressure on, and especially Breeze with these hooks was doing very, very solid work for Fnatic. Virtus Pro with a ban on Greymane here, first of all, which should really result in Fnatic banning out Illidan. I would be a bit surprised if they would not do that, since that is more or less a guarantee on Virtus Pro dropping Illidan as a hero. Fnatic then could react with Sonya and Tacit, I suppose, but still, Illidan is oftentimes a very huge liability that you not really want to risk. And Fnatic, they agree, they ban out Illidan, so Virtus Pro has a couple of options of how they can start here. Sonya, Falstad, Kelthas. I mean, there's so many heroes where you can really, depending on playstyle, say, okay, this is what we're going to do. With Sonya already taken, Fnatic picks Tacita away. They don't really want to deal with the double support Sonya. That includes the Tacita with the shields and Leeching Plasma on 4, the Cal's Embrace on 7, which is, of course, very understandable. On this map, you get also a lot of value out of the Force Wall. And Kelthas, as a follow-up, doesn't surprise either. Quacknix has played the hero already a few times in earlier games in this tournament right now. And yeah, it's going to be a bit interesting to see how Fnatic is going to round this setup up now. Virtus Pro, on the other hand, with a Rhaegar again. And I mean, we've already seen Unstable play a pretty solid Rhaegar in the last game. He did a lot of work with a hero. And it's always a very safe hero in the sense that you have a lot of burst heal, but you also have quite a huge amount of like AoE heal thanks to that chain heal that you can use. Against Lunara, that was very transparent. A hero that I could still see here very early to be picked would be not only Tyrande, but also Li Ming. I really feel when you're going for like poke damage on this map, Li Ming is great. She can not only interrupt tribute channels, but at the same time she's also very cool to just like get the extra damage in. And she doesn't really shine so much on Infernal Shrine. We've been talking about that a bit. She's not garbage there or anything, but there's just other heroes that give you more value. But I really feel on Cursed Hollow, Li Ming, Falstad, those are like really good heroes to take, since Falstad of course has still the fly in, the global mobility and all of that. But it could also be a Tyrande play. Rhaegar Tyrande has been a huge thing. Fnatic earlier on was already trying to shut that down a bit with a ban on Tyrande. We could see right now Virtus Pro saying like, well, we really want her. She can interrupt the tributes. We get vision over the bosses. But they decide in favor of that Li Ming that I just pointed out, which I feel is a very solid option as well. The problem if you're going for Tyrande here is that you might start to be losing the range damage dealer, since Fnatic could start banning Li Ming out. Pick another range damage dealer for themselves and then just like leave Virtus Pro the picking. So going for Li Ming here has a lot of value. And I wouldn't be surprised if Fnatic just says, hey, let's ban out Tyrande at this point. Unless, of course, they want to play a Tassadar-Tyrande combo. If they want to do that, then they will leave her open, since it would allow them to actually like poke a bit, get the tribute tribute interrupts there. They have Kel'Thas for gravity lapse. They can also like then use Tyrande with the stun as well. Maybe get like another stun hero in there. Could be running a Tyrande ETC, for example, something along those lines. And with a ban on Muradin, an ETC becomes a bit more likely, because you start taking a lot of like stuns against you away. Virtus Pro have shown a slight lead into the attempt to just simply use an Anubarak. They could also go for an interrupt there, but still, you could actually run this. And I personally wouldn't really be too shocked if Virtus Pro just simply says, okay, we're going to ban part of it out. If they say, okay, we ban a Tyrande at this point, or maybe the ETC. Personally, I think a ban on Tyrande wouldn't really be too bad at this point. Tassadar-Tyrande is a very common situation as well. You are more or less guaranteed that one of the teams is going to pick a Tyrande on this map. There's very few drafts where that doesn't happen on Cursed Hollow, mostly when a team has a completely different kind of playstyle. We've seen something with the Evil Murkies, for example, where they played Abathar, Tassadar, Tracer, which is a little bit symptomatic for their personal play. It's just like one of the drafts that they really enjoy, but in this case it makes sense. And Virtus Pro agrees, they ban out Tyrande. Makes total sense to do that here now. Fnatic with Tyrande banned have to, of course, think about like a second healer. So it could be a Brightwing, could be a Karazim. We could see. I kind of don't think that we're going to see an Uther, because I feel if you pick Uther, you have to go for someone that can really like rep through the opponent's like front line. I would have said a Greymane with that setup might be worth it. Thrall maybe, but we haven't. I don't know if we're going to see a Thrall in this case. A Nubarak, maybe with a Thrall and a Karazim, then at the end, I could see that. I really feel a Brightwing would also be an option. But a Karazim seems to be like that's going to be their choice. As I said, Tassadar Karazim, great option for them. Thrall as potentially a last pick here for them. But it's only one option to go for a Thrall. You can really react a little bit to what Virtus Pro is doing right now. And the meta is usually leaning a little bit more to that heavy double frontline again, where we have like two warriors. And with that happening, we could actually see Fnatic adding a second one as well. Depends a bit on what Virtus Pro is doing right now. Virtus Pro, first of all, are in a spot where they go ETC apparently for one of their frontliners at least. Keep an Ubarak in mind. So what Fnatic could, for example, do right now is simply say, hey, we don't play an Ubarak solo, we play a double frontline, and an Ubarak isn't forced to go into Locust Swarm, but can take Web Blast instead, and then we have a great interrupt against ETC. Of course, you can also like use your stuns for that, but oftentimes you will face a situation in which you actually like want to use your stuns, but you can't because ETC hasn't used his ult yet, so you need to hold those back. And if you have like a Cocoon as an additional CC, that's great for you. So Fnatic is kind of likely to add a hero that has maybe another interrupt against ETC himself there. And if they are talking about a frontline, it could, for example, be, let's say, a Johanna. Anubarak himself here, and a Zagara for Virtus Pro. I like that. Zagara is actually a pretty sweet pick for them. I kind of like that a lot. Good vision on the map, and they can get the combo with the Maw and then the potential like mosh pit afterwards, so that's not too shabby. I'm still waiting for the time when teams are using a Nidus network a little bit more on bigger maps and try to play around the opponent a bit more. In certain combos, Nidus can actually be very strong, and if you try to cheese your opponent down a little bit, it can be a huge asset, but teams are not really willing to commit to something like that yet. Falstad as a play, I like Falstad on the map. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Falstad in general, and Khaldor in particular. But I'm really a bit surprised that they didn't add another frontliner to a Nuborak and try and push that in. So Breeze on a Nuborak is going to have a bit of a tough time, but at least he has a double support behind him. That's going to make things a bit easier. I'm curious. I'm really curious to see how this is going to go, but Falstad can give a lot of control, so I feel Falstad Kalthas is, when it comes to damage output, amazing. I guess Morse and Mosh Pits, that's what we have to watch out for. That's really going to be the huge asset of Virtus Pro. Ladies and gentlemen, Khaldor, map number 2, and the best of 3 at the GO4Heroes finals coming up right now. Alright, boys and girls, we are good and ready to go. At this point, we are actually having the game about to start, and as you can see, we have to the left side of the map currently Fnatic in the lead with a 1-0 against Virtus Pro starting to the right. So, well, in this case, Breeze is playing in Nuborak. We have Wooby on Tassadar, whoop whoop. Quacknix on Falstad, Shrimpy on Kalthas, and Smexy is playing Charism. To the right side of the map, on the other hand, it's Hydra on Sonya for Virtus Pro. We are currently looking at Anilendi on Zagara. We're seeing Unstable on Rega, Sevkaja on Li Ming, and Power of Dream on ETC. The lead for Fnatic after the victory on Infernal Shrines. A nice comeback that they pulled off there. But let's find out how this is going to go for them. Once again, we have a Nuborak going straight for Dampen Magic as the level 1 talent. Falstad with the, by now, again standard auto attack build going into the Seasoned Marksman. We're having, besides that, a block for Sonya. We're seeing the Astral Presence for Li Ming. And we're having also, again, for Zagara, of course, straight the Creep to Mars. Going for the Reconstitution as the level 1 talent. And that's going to help her with a bit more lane survivability here. So yeah, overall a pretty sweet setup that we're seeing. A bit of a heavier front line on the side of Virtus Pro, as they've been using in the previous games too. But we are having a very nice damage build for Fnatic. I really like that Falstad combo together with Kalthas. It really think it's always good to have like a sustained damage dealer that is more auto attack based, and then the second one that is just like relying heavily on his abilities. So I'm pretty curious to see how this is going to work out then for them in the end. At this point, we are currently seeing Power of Dream, Unstable, and Sevkaja with a bit of a pressure play in the middle, having a tri-lane right there. And yeah, down to the bottom of the map. Oh, this might be no, not quite a kill just yet. Falstad flying in, making it a 3 versus 3, trying to go for Power of Dream. Breeze with the initiate. Nice body block attempts here by him, and can they get the kill? Falstad is so close, and somehow Power of Dream survives. But a very nice attempt here. Quacknix is eating the shots on the other hand from Li Ming. That kind of backfired a little bit. But yeah, so far well done. And Li Ming, I mean, she can really wreck someone, right? Sevkaja is so far getting good damage in. Both of the teams heading on level 4. We are nearly 2 minutes into the game, and keep in mind that 2 minutes into the game, these camps are going to spawn. So another 4 or 5 seconds, we're going to have the siege camps on the map, and then the teams are most likely going to try and get the siege camps here. So in this case right now, already the 2 giants are arriving, and also the camp over here. Bosses spawn 3 minutes into the game, and oftentimes what we are seeing 2 minutes in is just like both teams aiming for the siege giants. The reason for this is actually quite simple. Like in the case of Virtus Pro, for example, the siege giants are going to travel to the bot lane, and they are going to hope for the first tribute to spawn up at the top, because it means that their siege giant camp is going to get a free push down at the bottom of the map, or Fnatic will have to send someone back down. And this is like the ideal scenario for them at this point. So it couldn't get any better than that. They have the siege giants, they are pushing the bot lane, and Fnatic have to leave Tassadar at the bottom of the map, or the siege giants are going to break through the wall, and this is more or less securing them an early tribute already. Virtus Pro should have an easy pick on the tribute here. Both teams, by the way, now on level 4. Falstad going not into hammer gains on level 4, but into the static shield instead. He has already the damage output. Wooby is as expected, still at the bottom of the map. Nice gravity lapse by Shrimpy. Not Quacknix this time on the hero, it's Shrimpy. Quacknix instead is currently on Falstad, another one of his preferred heroes. And there's the easy tribute pickup by Team Virtus Pro. Fnatic at the same time with a bit of pressure play thanks to Wooby at the bot lane. Not only did he defend against the siege giants, but he's also taking one of the towers down, so that works for them. At the top, on the other hand, the fight isn't over just yet. Breeze is getting rather low, and that's the kill against the Nuborak. Survivability, for now, still a bit of a problem for him. Smexy dashing in, going for another quick heal. But of course, right now, the first blood in the hands of Virtus Pro. The bottom of the map, where Sonya has taken over experience for Virtus Pro again. We have both teams going straight for level 7 at this point. But still a pretty... like, it's roughly what you would have expected this early, especially with the position of the Tribute in the camp taken by Virtus Pro. It's kind of what was to be expected. But Andy Lendy has a very nice spread with his creep here up at the top, and it really shows. And it helps also that he can just help Power of Dream and Sefkaja with his abilities to break through the wall here. It's definitely a huge plus for them. The team is both already with a level 7 ability, and that means that for now we're seeing even in this case already rapid incubation take, and that's a big one because that allows Zagara to stay on lane for a lot longer. She doesn't go for the swarm momentum, which would allow her to get the abilities in a bit faster, but this is just massive lane sustain that we're now seeing on her part. Leeching Scarabs after Legion of Beetles. Breeze really adjusting his build a bit to the fact that he's the only frontliner right now. He needs a bit more survivability and instead lets some of the damage or the ability cooldowns go and just goes for the Leeching Scarabs to make sure that he has a bit more self-sustain that helps to keep him alive during these fights. Seeker chosen for Li Ming. Besides that, we're seeing the secret weapon. Gravity Crush after Netherwinds now. And both of the teams fighting again for the tribute with great poke on Li Ming. And this is one of the reasons why she's so strong on this map. She can interrupt all of those tribute channels, and if you just tank the damage, then you drop down fast. Sonya with a pressure play against the waves at the top, and Kalthus is doing pretty much the same thing in the middle. Shrimpy has to be careful that he meets up with the rest of the team when the shit really hits the fan here. But for now, it's actually going really well. So right now, he's able to join up with the rest of the team. Rhaegar was sent down to take the wave. He's the fastest at this point, thanks to his level 1 talent. Allows him to move at mount speed when he is in his wolf form. And he can, of course, jump in there without any kind of delay. But up at the top, Smexy with the channel. In comes Power of Dream. He's trying to go for the fight. Shrimpy is already a little bit low, but he's moving away as we speak. Smexy could use the dash to get away here. He's incredibly low. So is Whoopi, by the way. Quacknix is taking the blunt force of all of the Seekers, and he nearly dies to the minions. Oh, sorry, to the Banelings. Unstable with a channel in the meantime, and this is now Tribute number 2 in their hands. At the same time, Hydra is pushing the mid lane, maybe a little bit too far out. Since Quacknix is moving in, tries to get the kill and just barely doesn't make it. The gravity lapse is also not enough to take Power of Dream down. It's a little bit crazy how much they are able to escape in the last moment every single time. I mean, it's about the 3rd time that one of their heroes just barely gets away. But pressure play, thankfully now for Fnatic, which allows them to also take a bit more experience. They're trying to go through both of those walls, or both of the towers, and they will claim both. So the wall is gone, the well is out in the open and can now be attacked soon. The experience lead, on the other hand, still going to Virtus Pro. And they also still have the only kill in the entire game. When we're looking at the damage output, I mean, still a bit early, of course, we don't even have the level 10s. But you can really see that Quacknix is, yeah, basically just going straight ham on his full stat. So does Kalthus, both of them with solid damage output. But it's Zagara that really takes the top damage here, and she is doing an amazing job at the top lane. That creep spread that we're seeing for Andy Lendy was very solid. And even with like Whoopi and Breeze and everybody else trying to just limit it as much as they can, he still has very nice vision and has a pretty early gank warning system that he can use there. The pressure play against the wall has also helped to take a few of the structures down and gain that experience lead. They have the early level 10, but Fnatic is actually looking at a potential interrupt, but there's so much zoning happening because Fnatic knows that they're on a clock, but there comes that potential kill against Smexy. He dove deep for this interrupt. They might not be able to fight here. They are so low already. This integrate used by Sefkaja. Up there the fight. Whoopi isolated. Mighty Gust used. Fnatic is cursed. The 3rd tribute hits them hard, and the mid lane is being pressured at the same time by one of the camps, and that's making things not better. Not at all. Of course, Breeze now with a Locust Swarm. I mean, what else to use on level 10 if you're the only frontliner? Palm, Phoenix, Mighty Gust, and the Force Wall as the additional talents. And Fnatic is really put with their back to the walls right now, quite literally. I mean, they're trying to defend the walls, they're trying to defend the forts now. And the bot lane, they're even moving out, trying to go for the kill. Andy Lendy gets healed, unstable, so on point with his ancestors in this series. But Zagara still not able to escape. Didn't really help that the Maw was not hit on hitting the spot either. But they are actually doing really well with the defense here. There's nothing worse if you are the team that cursed the opponent when you lose a hero, because you all of a sudden have to give up your pushing potential and you have to simply retreat. And you're not going to get any value out of the curse. And for Fnatic, what looked like a pretty tough spot to be in, all of a sudden turned into a really advantageous situation. The reason is quite simple. They lost a few structures, no doubt about it. But if you look at experience, they are ahead. Not by much, but they are ahead. And right now, there's no curses anymore on the map. So they are actually in a spot where things are a lot better than they should be. But the boss taken at the top lane is giving Virtus Pro at least some kind of value, and they have to react against it. At the bot lane, on the other hand, they are trying to get their own boss already, and they should happen in time, because Virtus Pro is looking to push with the boss, or at least claim another camp. So I guess they already realized that Fnatic is doing the same thing at the bot lane right now. The big difference is that this boss is going to go through a fort, and has to try and claim that, which is not going to be easy as is. The wall is destroyed, the fort is going to fall, but the boss up at the top lane and the siege giant camp that were now taken, they're going for keep. And that is going to be a lot more dangerous. And at this point, it looks like they might even get it. If they push in with everything that they have and maybe even kill a hero, Virtus Pro has a chance to go for keep. It's very early in the game now though, so the boss is not going to be too strong. But with the Zagara behind it, if Anilendi is powering the spells out, they might have a chance. Here comes the interrupt. Oh, nice cleanse already used. And that's all that they needed. Mighty Gust as well. Mosh Pit there for not giving them any value. Keep so far still alive. They take the boss down and they go straight for the 2 Siege Giants, whereas the bot lane has of course now fallen. So this boss is still going to give them a little bit of value. An earlier level 13 ready for Fnatic. So they're still ahead in the game now. But when we're looking at a structural point of view, they are slightly behind. Not by a whole lot though, but still a little bit behind. Overall, they are ahead, and that's what really counts here, especially with the talent advantage that they currently have. Bed of Barbs even being used right now by Breeze. On level 13, we oftentimes see the Kaitinas plating instead. We made a slight adjustment there. We're having also Pyromaniac, we have Relentless taken as of Prescience, and the Bed of Barbs is really going to help them get a little bit more lockdown during these fights. Giant Killer also, which is going to help especially Breeze of course, and I mean Breeze, sorry not Breeze, Quacknix. And Quacknix is already working on his Season Marksman. He's at 19 extra damage, closing in on the 20, which is the halfway mark towards his Season Marksman quest talent. Also now Tidal Waves on 13, Mutalisk, we're seeing the Mystical Spear, that's the glass cannon. And yeah, with all of that already set in motion, we have both of the teams pretty much on eye level. But still Fnatic probably feeling pretty solid here, because so far they've been doing pretty well considering that they ate the early curse, and also that they were a little bit behind after level 10 was reached for Virtus Pro. And the important thing is also that you have to, of course, once again think about the score in the game itself. We are currently in a 1-0 lead for Fnatic, and that is putting additional pressure onto Virtus Pro. And that tribute spawn at the bottom is also not too bad for them. Everybody is already trying to get position. We have Falstad starting to make his way down to the bottom. He's probably going to fly in any moment, and there it is. But they have a camp pushing the mid lane. So the longer this fight lasts, the more value the camp is going to get. Breeze is trying to go for the channel. Down at the bottom, there's another camp that is being eliminated. Power of Dream. Nice cleanse on Shrimpy again, and they take down Power of Dream. He was going for the Mosh, but the cleanse saved Shrimpy. He used the Gravity Lapse. Quacknix moved in for the extra damage. Down goes ETC. The camp in the mid lane is getting value for them. And at the same time, we are already seeing them channeling the tribute. So now they can just simply start chasing. That's exactly what they're doing here. If they can get the lockdown against Zagara, that would be amazing, but they're a little bit too far away for that. So they move them away. Tassadar is already taking position in the middle. They're definitely going to drop that fort. No problem about making this happen. Fort is going to fall. Unstable already moving in, trying to make some play, but in the meantime Fnatic is still busy down to the bottom of the map to break through the entire wall, claiming a few of the structures. The only one that still survives is one of the 2 towers, but now we have them closing in on level 16 as well. Breeze, even with an attempted stun against Sonya, she just barely moves out of it. When it comes to the damage output, it's really just like Kelthas once again, with 21k that he has, but also Falstad on 17,000, not looking too bad. Li Ming, of course, we've seen already a bit of how much damage she can actually put out with this build. And she's on 37,000, which is pretty much incredible. Zagara on 28k is not too bad either, but Li Ming really with that on-point damage. Going for the Triumvirate here as the level 4 talent, straight into Seeker. Glass Cannon, of course, getting that damage output even higher. And now another tribute on the map that could be gotten by Breeze. I don't think it's really likely that we're going to see a contestation on the side of Virtus Pro. Maybe like a poke, but now the zoning with Wubi is happening, and since there's level 16 available for Fnatic, Virtus Pro just simply says, it's not a cursed tribute, so let's just leave it for now. Uh-oh, that on the other hand is an issue. Power of Dream gets body blocked. Here comes Mexi, and they get the kill. Great play. Even the force wall being thrown in for good measure by Wubi. That was actually really well done here once more. A nice attempt by ETC to move away, but Breeze was already waiting. luring in the background. I don't really think he saw him even, and that results in another 4 taken. They really just capitalize on all of these kills that they get right now. First of all, it was the pressure play at the bottom. The cool thing is that we are at least seeing a reaction from Virtus Pro with the setup that they have to get the most value out of it. But Fnatic is reacting with the boss steal. They're saying, hey, if you push our fort at the bot lane, we're just going to simply take your boss right now. We have the damage output that we need. We're going to claim that. And now, this is such a shitty spot for them to be in. The Siege Giant is up here at the top. Down here we have a Tribute spawning. It's also going to be a Curse Tribute. Whoopi with the interrupt. And oh my god, if they get the Tribute while the boss is pushing through the top lane. Oh, but Breeze dies. Oh my god. He gets blown to pieces there. Mirror Ball and everything else that Sefkaji gets in is just enough. And Fnatic, they move in a bit too hard. They dive too hard and they die. 17 against 16 now. Boss going through the top lane. They, of course, are not getting cursed or anything with that, but it would be the dream to get a curse while the boss is pushing the top lane now. But with the boss being defended against, they might be trying for for the bottom boss. The problem is that we have, thanks to Andy Landy on his Zagara, a lot of vision for Virtus Pro. He's been doing a great job, actually, the entire game, to just get as much vision as he possibly can. Power of Dream, on the other hand, is dead again. He's too far out there. Power of Dream really with a bit of a scrappy second game. Like, he was looking super solid in game number 1 and in a few of the other matches that we've seen. But right now on this second map with his ETC, he's dying way too often. I mean, just looking at his death count, out of 4 kills against Virtus Pro, 3 were against him. So that's definitely not where he wants to be, especially not with the Sonya to his side. It's pretty tricky in his position to actually stay alive there. He doesn't really have too many escapes, and Fnatic had very good rotations on the map to always cut off his path of retreat. But the rotations is something that has been missing quite a bit. So in this case, once again, Tribute at the top, and once more, with the boss now pushing the bot lane, if Fnatic is able to go for it, and if they are able to get the interrupts and get the curse against Virtus Pro, this boss at the bot lane is going to get massive value. And ETC is just now making his way back, which means that they can put out free damage against heroes like Hydra for that. Sonya is already struggling a bit. Quacknix is there, could even go for Mighty Gust if they needed to. Anilendi is at the top, Smexy is channeling. This is going to be a curse. Curse is hitting, and it's hitting hard and at the perfect time as well. The boss just arrived at the bot lane and is now going to start to make his way here. And Fnatic is doing the best thing that they can do. They move to the top lane. So now one of the forts or one of the keeps is definitely going to fall. There's nothing that Virtus Pro can do about it. It looks like they're sacrificing the top fort and instead just simply focus on the boss for now. Boss still takes down the well, is going to be eliminated. And Fnatic, they're moving into the middle, even breaking through one of the walls here. Breeze can, of course, always fly back, and that's, sorry, not fly back, but like burrow charge away, which is what he does. But yeah, overall, very solid situation. Wall is being attacked now too. They're going for that immediately. One tower down, second one about to fall. Schwimpy isolated, but shielded by Tassadar. Good job here. Making sure that nothing happens. Pushing everyone away except for Sonya. Great kill against Sonya. Well done. There comes the more, but it is not enough. Or is it? Breeze is low, but he's not dying, and that's an issue right now. He uses his ult, and they are trying to push for the second keep now, and if that continues, they might be able to get it. It's another 6 seconds until the curse is over, and even if they can't kill the keep, they will put a lot of free damage onto it. Curse is over, so they might have to retreat here, but it's a 5 versus 4 situation as is. They're so close to level 20 though that they might actually wait a little bit, but considering how low the keep already is, they are going to finish the job. They're finishing what they started. That drops level 20 into their hands. They have the Storm Talons right now, and that gives us Rebirth on the Phoenix. We're having an after the Force Wall, now the Force Barrier. It's one Hardened Shield, and we're seeing the Peaceful Repose, and they're even moving straight through the bot lane again. The Afterburner taken. It's a very standard talent by now on Falstad as his level 16 talent, especially if you go for the auto attack build. But right now, the bottom play, I mean, this is going to be brutal. Could go for Nexus Frenzy as well, to be absolutely honest with you. I don't think that in this case you necessarily need to go for Epic Mount. I really feel with the damage output that we've seen on the side of him, he should really go for that. Jumps in actually, and immediately dies. Quacknix with a fail, and now they are being chased. Wow, that was awkward. Epic Mount has been used, he jumps in, and it doesn't really work out the way that they intend to. I think there was a cleanse on Rhaegar as well. I'm not 100% certain if he got that through. But yeah, this is definitely, that was a bit awkward there. Quacknix was trying to isolate someone. They were trying to capitalize on 20 and make a bit of a play. But that was nothing else but a bunny hop into death. Overall, on the other hand, it was incredibly well done here. 2 keeps out of the curse. They are in a great spot right now. It's 20 versus 20, yes, but Fnatic has still 2 lanes pushing constantly against the opponent, which is going to be incredibly important here. So yeah, really well done. For now, we're having also another camp taken right over here to the right. So in this case, they are just like trying to paint the map in their colors. We have both teams going for the Bruiser camp. There's still like a Siege Giant camp available. We have also now still one talent not taken. Li Ming makes the choice, goes into Tower Rushers on 20. Double Bolt of the Storm, ETC now with a bit more survivability is going to be great for him. It's going to be absolutely awesome so that he can jump away. Boss is being attacked up here at the top, and Fnatic is not jumping in. Breeze, I can tell you one thing, Breeze was thinking about it. But he moves away, and yeah, very good job on that part, letting it go. Not an easy choice to make in this case. Tributors on the map would not be a disaster if Virtus Pro takes this one. Fnatic, it's about decision making. And they are actually going for the backdoor. Whoopi is trying to interrupt the TPs, and he's going for it. He gets the interrupt in. Is he going to get another one? No, he doesn't, but they go for the backdoor attempt right now, and they get a lot of damage already on the core. Smexy still there, Breeze as well, interrupts by Tacita. The Mighty Gus has been used too. Fnatic is going for it. The ETC Moshpit doesn't hit anything as Falsehood escapes. There's the more, but it's not enough. Fnatic gets the 2-0 victory against Virtus Pro, and they win the GO4Heroes tournament. Job well done. A sneaky backdoor attempt at the end secures the victory. GG, well played, and congratulations.